with the recording. Yes, please. So who is wanting to go first to introduce yourself?
Hi all, good evening all. Myself Bhushan. I am from Bangalore. I got an experience of total 18 years. I was with IBM earlier. Later I moved to a company called Concentrix. Late after that, and I have resigned and started my own venture. Became an entrepreneur in 2015-16. Later after that, and I also started my own restaurant. Currently, I'm running my own restaurant in outskirts of Bangalore, which is running successfully for last 3 to 4 years. So including all these things, I got total 18 years of experience. And pretty happy to be part of this ESG sustainability training part. I got to know that huge demand for this particular thing, especially in Middle East and other things. One of my friend who works in IBM company in Dubai also recommended this is going to be a future for everybody. So hence this has tempted me like anything to go immediately learn something. So in this process, I met Mr. Balu Garu, and luckily I got, and I just participated in one of his webinar, and I was impressed by the way he explained and what is the importance and roles and everything. So that's how I'm here. So thank you once again, Balu Garu. I'm expecting, I am looking forward a lot of things. Okay.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bhushan Garu.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank
you. Yeah. Others.
Hi, Devesh this side actually.
Yeah, hi Devesh.
Yeah, hi. I'm working for Lodha Group. It's a real estate firm actually, based out of Mumbai, and I'm working as a general manager for project management. Previously also had a register for this program actually, but unfortunately I missed that one. So I'm rejoining this. So I'm lucky that I'm rejoining this one. And in our projects also, the ESG process is implemented rigorously actually. And to go with the flow, definitely we need to learn more. That's why I joined here actually. And I know that this will be much beneficial for me and for the organization. So thanks.
Thanks so much. Yeah. Others, may I request you to please switch on your cameras till the time we get into the class.
Shall I go ahead now?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. This is Tanmay Ghosh. Currently, I'm doing PhD from IIT Guwahati, and my topic is related to sustainability. And for the last two years, more than 2 years, I'm working on climate change, sustainability, and disaster management. So from that point of view, this ESG, the topic came in my mind, and I was thinking to go into detail because I have been searching all around, but I wanted to have a full-fledged course kind of things. So I joined this particular course, and I hope I will enjoy a lot from this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Good evening. Myself, Yogesh. Currently, I'm working in Adani Green Energy Limited, based out at Ahmedabad. I basically my professional experience has 4 years in learning and development related to giving training to the freshers, GETs and DETs, and also looking after technical training for solar energy, AGE. Part of ESG concern, recently I start working with the ESG team, preparing some data. That's why I get more interest on it, and also maybe there is a future in ESG. That's why I'm enthusiastic to learn ESG related to ESG non-financial disclosures related to ESG. Thank you. I'm forward to learn. Thank you.
Others?
I'm Mundan.
Yeah, hi.
I have been working in procurement field for the past 20 years. So I think of switching over to sustainability procurement. So that's why I joined this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Others?
Good evening. I'm Durai Murugan from Nepal. Basically, I am based out of Nepal, working for Coca-Cola company as a supply chain head. I'll be moving to India very soon for the position called Quality Safety Environment. My role is going to be heading, no, I'm going to be head the Pan India for Coca-Cola company. So I feel that, no, see, since I'm handling the environment part, I think it's very important to have close coordination with, sustainability guys in Hindustan Coca-Cola. So I've chosen in advance that, no, I need to prepare something on basics. What all the things are happening with, sustainability and all. So that's the purpose that I joined in this course. Nice to meet all of the eminents and experts in this platform. I think looking forward to learn many more things from experts here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Dr. Surabhi Yadav. I am in the social development sector since last more than 10 years. I am an expert, I would say, in CSR compliance, strategy, policy, everything related to the CSR, and I am into it. So I have been engaged with government, corporate foundation, NGO, grassroots NGOs, and ever since law on CSR came in, I have been actively involved in this sector. I now can foresee that future is of ESG. So India as such, I discussed with Balakrishnan also, does not have any proper framework for ESG, if you would say, as in for CSR, we do have a framework. And something that we have is in the form of BRSR. So I would like to understand how we can actually develop framework for each of the individual organization, and how can we convert ESG actually into the ground, what more we can do besides reporting, and how can we actually implement it on the ground. That is my basic purpose of enrolling into this course.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet all the eminent personalities out here. Looking forward to a very engaging session and a great learning over here. Thank you so much.
We'll try to keep our promises.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Sharvanan?
Yes, sir. Hi. Myself Saravanan from Coimbatore. So I am working in EHS department for the last 6 years. So recently I have been assigned for ESG activities. So I'm very glad to be a part of this team. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. So may I request each of you to please switch on your camera so that I can just have a screenshot of it. Yeah, each of us. Deveshi, Murugan, Surabhi, Sharvanan.
Sorry, can you please repeat?
Yeah, I was requesting. I mean, in fact, I'm requesting each of us to switch on our cameras so that we will have a.
Actually, I'm
Sorry,
having
sorry.
my dinner. I'll join in 5 minutes. I'll just switch on.
I mean, it's just about taking a snap of it. That's it.
Uh-huh.
It's just about taking the snap, nothing else. If each of us can switch on our cameras.
I could
Avinash,
not switch on my
Sharavanan?
camera.
Okay.
There is some technical error.
Oh, no problem, no problem. Avinash, can you? Yeah, please. Awesome. Oh, you have brought in your baby girl. Awesome. I'm just taking a snap. Just I mean, it's just smiles, please. One moment, please. One more. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, everyone. So let me introduce myself, and also let me invite Mr. Avinash Kumar, who is one of the partners of Tattva ESG Solutions as well. So myself, I believe introduction of me is not really required at this point in juncture, I believe. So each of us, with each of you, I did have quite a long discussion, as I remember, right? So we know each other better, but in a better way. So let me just introduce my partner, Mr. Avinash Kumar, to this wonderful session, wonderful people. So he's me and Avinash, we were batchmates. We were studying together in our MBA, and then we worked together in an organization called S&P Global, where we also were part of different verticals of ESG, not just the research and all. So now I request Avinash Kumar to take the part to introduce himself, so that we all get to understand each other. Who are we? Who is what we are doing, etc., etc. And going further, mostly I'll be taking these sessions, almost every session of it. But if by chance we got engaged, or maybe if there is a need, then probably Avinash will be coming in between, and then he'll be taking the sessions. but otherwise mostly it is me who is going to take this session for this batch 5. Thank you all. So we are expecting a couple of more people who would be joining us, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. In total, we are having, I think, 13 enrollments as of now. We are expecting 3-4 more enrollments. Let's see how it goes. It is going to be a fantastic batch as I foresee. Fingers crossed. Yeah, Avinash.
So hi everyone. As Bala told, my name is Avinash Kumar, and I am associating with ESG since almost 10 years. So more than 10 years, and I have started working as a junior analyst and then shifted towards management. Right now, I'm working as a middle manager in one of the company, and we have I mean, me and my team is working on a different projects in ESG as of now. But I personally started on a very low rank as an analyst, and there we started on a different note, you can say. So at that time, there was a very minimal data was being collected, and then slowly and gradually ESG taking shape, and then people started talking about it. People started you can say thinking about it more. I mean, as you know, I mean, probably most of you will be knowing that it was started in 1992 around. So since then, things are going on, shaping here and there, and then uh, it is going on. Bala will explain now almost everything, that
Yes,
how it
yes.
started and how it is going right now. But in 2012, it was very minimal. In India, no one was talking about it. But there was a process, there was a team, a Bloomberg team, which used to collect these data, and we were the part of those team, right? So that's what I started my journey, and then right now I'm working in a renowned company for as a in a middle management, and we are proudly consulting teams and different companies around the world. So that's it about me right now. So that's all, Bala. Over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ravi. Thanks very much. So I think it is a good introductory session for each of us. Uh, Murugan sir looks very tidy, it seems. He leaned on towards his wall. Anyways, jokes apart. Let's jump into the session before spending a lot of time. I think it's already 15 minutes past the time schedule. I believe we are this is it for today. I mean, I don't think anybody else is going to join us. But anyway, since every session is recorded, as we promised, so definitely each of you will be having the access to recording, and then you can go back through the recordings whenever it is required. Thank you very much. I'm just switching off my camera, and then we'll be sharing my presentation. Thanks guys. Thanks very much. Yeah. Before I start about this presentation, let me just give you a little overview of the organization. So we are from Tattva ESG Solutions Private Limited. As I remember, I have made this point very much clear to each of you that we are Tattva ESG Solutions Private Limited, in which ESG Academy is one of the verticals where we provide trainings to different organizations, different individuals, different institutions, whatnot. When it comes to ESG training, we take. Of course, it has to be in relation to what we do. So when it comes to Tattva ESG Solutions Private Limited as a consultancy, the first and primary vertical is about integrating ESG, providing advisory, and then benchmarking, trend analysis, gap analysis, something which we also do, sustainability report writing, our preparation, you may say. This is something which we do in with vertical 1, which is consultancy. And we are also planning to get into data, where we collect data for thousands of organizations and to sort the data as per the requirements of different organizations across the globe. That is something which we are planning to get into. And third vertical is about ESG Academy, where we are providing rigorous trainings. As of now, we are having only one module, to be honest with you. Very soon we'll be adding a lot of modules, and as we discussed with Surbhi Yadav ji as well. So she's also will be taking part of our course module going forward, and whenever she requires us in her requirements, probably we can take part of ESG in their requirements. I mean, we are open for collaborations. If someone can think that, okay, they are capable of taking a particular specific session, which is in relation to ESG, of course, then we are welcome, and we can think of a course module. That's how we work. And this is a bit introduction towards our organization. So we have started about a couple of years before, and we are growing. It's fortunate that we have seen some great business in the last couple of years. So we are expecting a lot more to come in. Thank you very much. So let's get into the session. Thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, let me know once my screen is visible.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is visible.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it is.
So before we get into it, so how many of you actually know the basic of ESG? What is ESG or what is sustainability? Are these two same? Or I mean, I'm not asking to those people who have already attended the webinar on 28th of April, but those who have not attended the webinar. ESG, sustainability, are these two same or are these two different? I mean, what ESG and sustainability is or are? If someone can speak of. And of course, Avi, it's not for you. Okay. It seems like a pin drop silence. Awesome. Anyways, so let's get into the subject. So today we are going to learn about what is ESG. I mean, introduction to sustainability and ESG, why ESG is very much required, history of ESG, and then growth forecast of ESG industry till 2035 from different organizations. We have summarized it, and there are some certifications which are globally proclaimed, and then there are some organizations which may prefer these kind of certifications to get into specific roles. And then finally, we'll have a Q&A. I mean, it does not mean that you shall not stop me in between. You can ask me questions in between as well, whenever you have a question or query. So let us start with sustainability. So what is sustainability? If someone can think of, someone can let me know. The answer is already there on the screen. If someone can speak of it. Okay, very simple. Whatever we are having today, the natural resources, we have to use these resources as per our need, not as per our want. And also, we have to preserve these resources for our future generations to fulfill their own needs. However, unfortunate scenario is that we are going beyond our needs and we are wanting to have our wants, our desires fulfilled. I believe each of us understands that need is different and want is different. As long as we go for needs, then we would not have had these many issues, but otherwise we have really gone beyond the need, and hence we are speaking of this topic called sustainability today across globe. It is one of the hot topics as of today, and it is going to be the topic and will remain the hot topic till the time we actually address it from the root level. And the definition that has that is provided by United Nations: development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. The definition clearly speaks about needs, not wants. So, sustainability. Sustainability is a very broader aspect. It is not that you or me alone can achieve it, or any nation alone can achieve it, or any organization can alone achieve it. Sustainability. Sustainability is not just for any individual or any body, any NGO, any government, any state, any city, any town, any panchayat, or combination of nations or any nation. Sustainability is something which has to be achieved collectively by joining hands. Every individual, every organization, every government, every nation, every street, every home, everyone has to come forward in this race to achieve the sustainability. Then only we can at least try to preserve those natural resources by fulfilling our needs as of today, and also our future generations can make use of these resources. Otherwise, for now, we have been seeing a lot of adverse effects. Here, we have only brought in those adverse effects from the point of view of environmental, because these are clearly seen. However, when it comes to social or governance, these are not clearly visible. These are kind of intangible. I'm not saying they are clearly intangible, but kind of intangible. So when it comes to adverse effects of environment, we all know what is happening in and around us. When we were children, at an average, let's say about 30 years before, even though there was no power, in fact, there was no power in thousands of, in fact, lakhs of villages of India, where I come from, there was no power. Still, we were able to sustain because temperatures were really okay. There were hardly, we were witnessing about 25, 28, maybe 30. But today, in my own village, we are witnessing somewhere near 43, 45 degrees in 30 years span of time. In a village, if it is the case of village, what about a city? What about town? What about cities like Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai, Ahmedabad, Rajasthan, areas where we have desert, comparatively temperatures are very high. So these are happening because not just because of lack of awareness, but also because of a lot of commitments towards the wants, not just the needs. Nowadays, there are a lot of people who are claiming that we are actually developing electrical vehicles. When we move further in this course module, we'll have a kind of a small case study whether electric vehicles are really the game changer. If you ask me, no, we will speak how and why. So we are actually focusing on the temporary solution as of today. As of today, when it comes to sustainability. However, what about future generations? That is something which we are going to address, right? So when it comes to environment, so it is something which has to be taken care by, as I mentioned, every individual, every organization, every body, every nation, whatnot, you name it, the person or the unit or the organization or the body is having equal responsibility to protect the entire universe. It's not just about environment or just about social or just about governance or something. It is the overall sustainability that we need to achieve. Let us understand what is ESG. If ESG is sustainability, then what is the difference between sustainability and ESG? Or whether are these two same? If these two are same, then why we have this word or terminology called ESG, environment, social governance? We can simply put in, we can simply speak about social vertical, isn't it? Sorry, sustainability, isn't it? If these two are not same, then what is the correlation? Let us understand. Before I explain about ESG, let me give you the difference between sustainability and ESG. So if ESG is the larger umbrella, sorry, sustainability is the larger umbrella, then ESG is that particular topic, specific industry, whatever you name, would want to name it as, is something which helps businesses to achieve sustainability. ESG is more specific towards achieving sustainability from business perspective. It is not that we as individuals shall not use ESG or shall not think of ESG. However, ESG as industry or as a framework or as a standard, whatever you name it, ESG is something which is used or which is through which we achieve sustainability from business. And we usually have another myth. ESG and compliance are same. ESG and legality are same, or legal requirements. If ESG and legal requirements are same, then why do we need ESG as a separate topic? Unfortunately, at least about 70 to 80% of individuals who speak about ESG as of today still think that ESG, excuse me, ESG is compliance. If business is following compliance or abiding by compliance, that is ESG. Unfortunately, this is the bitter truth. However, ESG and compliance are not same. If they are same, then we do not need ESG, right? ESG is beyond compliance. Just to give you a very small example, if you are allowed to emit 100 grams of carbon dioxide equivalent, that is the maximum cap for you. And if you are abiding by that law, then you are abiding by the compliance. You are not doing anything in relation to environment. If you are integrating green technologies on your own as a voluntary body or voluntary organization, voluntary integration, and you are limiting your emissions by 80 grams without compromising on your profitability or your production or service ability, you have to provide or you have to deliver similar kind of services, or you have to produce as much as you are producing. However, you are now emitting lesser emissions. That's what ESG is all about. How we are going to achieve it. I mean, this example is just from the point of view of environmental vertical. You will understand going further in this entire course module how we can do that. So another myth is that ESG is beyond compliance. Another myth we usually speak is CSR. CSR, corporate social responsibility, and ESG both are same. There are a lot of people even today, as I mentioned, still think that ESG is part of CSR. Just forget about comparing these two as same. ESG is part of CSR. That is again one of the bitter truths that we need to understand, that CSR is way less a smaller topic in terms of ESG. On its own, CSR is very broader aspect on its own. If you understand CSR from ESG front, then CSR is a very small topic. So CSR is a small topic of stakeholder engagement, which is part of social vertical, which is part of ESG, which is part of sustainability. So sustainability is that larger umbrella under which, if a business tries to achieve sustainability, then they use ESG as a mechanism or platform to achieve that sustainability. So under that overall sustainability, ESG is one topic from business perspective. Out of this ESG, social is one vertical out of the three verticals. Under this one vertical called social, we have different topics or criteria, rather we can name it as. Out of those different criteria, we have something called stakeholder engagement, under which CSR, corporate social responsibility, is one of the topics. So you now can understand where does CSR go in entire ESG, and where does ESG go in entire sustainability. And ESG is beyond following or practicing the compliance, right? So let's understand what ESG is all about now. So we have understood that ESG is not compliance, it is beyond compliance. CSR is just part of one of the verticals of ESG. Then what is ESG? What ESG is all about? Anybody, if someone would want to have a word on this, anybody can take this call. Of course, except Avi. Whether you have attended the webinar or not. So what is ESG? We have already discussed this in the webinar, but still. Anybody?
Hi, Bala, this is Gagan here.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so what I understood from ESG perspective is ESG is basically the environmental, social, and governance parameters based on which a business risk or opportunities are assessed and managed.
Right.
So it is helpful for the investors to invest in a particular company based on these environmental, social, and governance parameters, as well as it helps the companies to sustain itself in terms of its business operations.
Right. Perfect. Perfect. Anybody else? Anything else? Any other statements, comments? Okay. Before understanding ESG, let us understand an annual report or the financial behavior of a company. Not really very in detail, on a very layman language. If someone wants to understand about performance of an organization, we generally speak of one thing called how much, what is the turnover of the company. One thing as in when it comes to financial terminology, turnover of the company. How much have they invested? How much have they generated? What were their what were their operating expenses? What were their overall expenses? What was the gross revenue? What was the net revenue? How much taxes they have they paid? What was the profit or what was the loss? So when you looked at this kind of data, you now understand that, okay, whether this organization is profitable organization or loss-making organization. All these parameters are from the financial perspective. So this is called financial performance of an organization. If we speak about non-financial performance of the organization, that is ESG. Preferably, you can match or map any aspect that is non-financial to the organization under these three verticals called ESRG. As of now, as per our experience, whatever we have seen, you take any topic which is not financial, which is not a financial parameter for the organizational performance related topics. You can fit the topic in one of the verticals of ESG. If you understand what you are doing from your non-financial performance point of view, that is ESG. Essentially, those topics are environmental topic, vertical, social vertical, and governance vertical. So what does environmental vertical speak about? And what is the requirement of it? When we speak about non-financial, are these really non-financial topics? If these are non-financial topics, then how is it different from CSR? Let us understand. And remind me if I miss to make the clear difference between ESG and CSR, then I'll speak on that. The clear difference between ESG and CSR. However, going further in this today's session, we will be addressing that. So, if it is non-financial performance, then what is the need of environment? Sorry, ESG as a topic. We can simply think of either SDGs or CSR. SDGs is something which we have been witnessing since last 70 years, which was started in 2015. Otherwise, CSR in India, it was already there since 2009 and was made mandatory in 2013 as the 13 Act, which was introduced in 2014. So that is something which we will learn again. Then we can simply call it as CSR when it comes to Indian context. Then what is ESG? Let us understand. Environmental vertical. Under environmental vertical, we can think of a lot of aspects that are relevant for organization. You are using power. You as an organization, you are using power. You use ACs. You use different machinery for your respective organizations. Sorry, respective manufacturing requirements. Or you use different machinery for some sort of service requirements. When we say machinery, a laptop is also part of machinery, right? You have a lot of infrastructure. You construct a lot of buildings. You use water. You generate waste. A lot of things are happening as part of business. So we need to understand what is the contribution of a particular organization towards environmental footprint. When we say environmental footprint, it either can be positive or negative. If I am emitting more emissions than required, then it is negative impact. If I am emitting less emissions than required, then the benchmark amount, then is positive impact. However, when you look at environmental vertical, whichever topic you pick, ultimately that can be concluded with emission or carbon. You take waste, we can conclude the topic by having some understanding from the point of view of emission or carbon. Ideally, we say carbon emissions. In general, we say. Otherwise, all emissions do not have carbon, but we in general speak about carbon. We will understand that going further. Why we only speak about carbon, right? You take water. Finally, we can think of emissions or carbon emission. So whatever you take, whatever the topic you pick from environmental vertical, that is directly or indirectly will be ending up with emission. So we analyze, we calculate, we think of those emissions, and we try to understand where are we emitting more and where are we emitting lesser, and what we can do to become a better organization which can contribute towards sustainability. If it is just about practicing compliance, then you are not really required to think beyond the requirement. If government says that you as an organization shall not emit more than 100 grams, there is ideally a possibility that there is already technology available which you shall be integrating in your organization value chain, wherein you can limit your emissions under 100 grams. If that is what you are doing, then we do not require E of ESG. We need to understand how much emission are we emitting. Out of that, how much is from a particular specific unit, how much is from XYZ, how much is from ABC, etc., etc., etc. And finally, we will analyze, we will understand, we will see, we will forecast, and then we will say that okay, this is where we are emitting more, and this is where the opportunity is for us to limit our emissions. In very short explanation, this is about environmental vertical. Clear, guys? Hello?
Yeah, it's
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is very clear.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is clear, but I hope we'll understand in the later modules more about how to calculate the positive and negative impact that we are creating.
That is something which we are not going to discuss in this entire course module. We will speak about what is GHG emission and how they are relevant for this entire ESG perspective. However, calculating emissions itself requires at least 6 months time for us to learn. At least 6 months.
No, I just want to understand if we'll get to know that what are the parameters that
that is something which that is something which we are going to learn in one of the topics called GHG emissions.
Sure. Thank you.
There we will discuss more in detail about emissions.
Sure. Thank you.
Then we will understand about scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, 15 different categories of scope 3, how they are being calculated. I mean, not really exactly calculated, but how they are being considered. That is something which we will learn.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So under environmental vertical, what all we can think of? So one primary aspect is climate change. As discussed, whatever you think of, that is ultimately leads to emission. We can actually make that leading towards emission, right? So let's understand those topics. Emissions. Out of emissions, we can have scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions. We will understand in detail. For now, let us understand the topics. Just let us have a small understanding of what all the topics or criteria that are part of environmental vertical, right? We can think of energy, renewable energy, non-renewable energy. How much renewable energy are we using? How much non-renewable energy are we using? How we can make use of energy in a better way? How we can limit our energy usage, right? Water. How much water have we withdrawn? How much is used? How much is consumed? How much is discharged? How much is reused or recycled, etc., etc., etc. There is waste, hazardous waste, non-hazardous waste, solid waste, wet waste, electronic waste, waste incinerated, waste sent to landfill. Why they are important for us?
Sir, are you not sharing the screen?
Sorry.
Same screen is visible.
Hello.
You are not sharing the screen, sir. Changing the screen.
Yeah.
Same.
I'm sharing the screen, and we are at what is ESG? I mean the same page.
Okay.
Same page. Yeah. Okay. Hello.
Yes, clear, Bala.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
And we can think of biodiversity. What is biodiversity? How is it important for an organization to think of biodiversity? Why organization shall think of biodiversity? Under biodiversity, what all we can have? There can be biodiversity policy, a commitment, afforestation commitment, no deforestation commitment, and you can think of IUCN, International Union for Conservation of Nature. We can think of those 4 or 5 principles which are relevant for biodiversity. So this is something which you can think from an organizational perspective. We also think of green building technologies, which is very specific to some organizations. I mean, some industries. Still, it is relevant for environmental vertical. Green bonds, sustainable, renewable energy certifications, RECs, green technologies, innovation, R&D for environmental innovation, of course. What best you can do to bring your emissions, to lower your emissions, right? Product life cycle assessment. All these aspects are part of environment. And also something called supply chain. Usually, whenever you look at supply chain from ESG perspective, it is part of social vertical. However, I prefer to speak about supply chain from the point of view of all 3 verticals. Let us understand why. Because if you are an organization, and you would want to understand your entire environmental impact or footprint, then you shall not forget about your suppliers, vendors, your entire value chain emissions. So your supply chain is equally important from your environmental vertical to consider. You cannot ignore your supply chain emissions, which are very, very, very important. Mostly they are part of scope 3. Mostly. You shall not ignore your supply chain. Hence, environmental vertical is also equally important. Supply chain is also equally important for us to learn about supply chain from environmental perspective. Then what can we have from supply chain under environmental topic? How many suppliers you have? Whether they are also in line with your environmental policies requirements or not, and how you are making sure that your supply chain members, I mean suppliers, vendors, whoever it is, or whoever they are really abiding by your values, by your requirements, by your policies, by your laws. That is something we need to understand from environmental vertical. These are some aspects, some of the aspects which we can think of environmental topics, and there will be more. Going further, we will understand. Coming to social vertical, here we speak about primarily about internal stakeholders. Primarily, we will understand what is the difference between shareholder and stakeholder. So for that, I'll share one YouTube link with you, which is our own Academy's YouTube channel. There we clearly have explained the difference between shareholder and stakeholder. So I'm just giving you a very basic understanding of these two. Shareholder, who is having financial interest in an organization. Stakeholder, anybody, either someone who is getting directly affected or indirectly affected by the organization, whether it is financial integration or anything else. If for example, if I'm at a location where there is a very big pharma hub, with the water that I'm drinking, if I'm getting affected, then I'm one of the stakeholders. So shareholders are part of stakeholders. If stakeholder is a bigger umbrella, then shareholder are part of, are subset of stakeholders. when it comes to social vertical, we mostly think of internal stakeholders, preferably employees. Preferably employees. After that, we speak about stakeholder engagement, where in this one very topic, we speak of everything else beyond employees. Otherwise, most of the aspects that are relevant for internal requirements of the organization, be it supply chain, Again, that is interrelated. That is required from the internal requirements of organization, right? So what we can think of: diversity and inclusion. Whether are we integrating diversity and inclusion policies in our organization, whether we are giving priority, or maybe we are giving equal opportunity to women, men, LGBTQ categories, lesbians, transgender, bisexual, whatever, right? Whether are we giving equal importance to them? If we are hiring individuals just based on their capacity to do the job, not based on their caste, creed, religion, gender, anything else. If we can hire someone irrespective of their categories, background, caste, creed, anything, as long as we are doing this, there is something which we are doing better from the point of view of diversity and inclusion, equal opportunity aspects. For that, we can have stringent policies, trainings, implementation, targets, etc., etc., etc. And the same topic will also be relevant for board of directors, which we'll understand under governance topic. If the board of directors team is electing all the directors based on the requirements of the job to be done, irrespective of their caste, creed, family members, or something, without any biasness. Health and safety. So there is something called EHS. I believe a couple of you are from EHS background. Environmental health and safety, or health, safety, and environment. So out of that, health and safety is one of the very important aspects under social vertical, where we try to focus as an organization. Our focus shall be on health and safety of the employees. What kind of policies are we implementing? What kind of steps are we taking to protect themselves, to protect our employees from any health hazards, from any safety, by providing safety requirements? If you are working in a chemical company, there can be a lot of health hazards while you are inhaling the chemical gases. So what kind of steps are you taking? If you are working in mining, by inhaling that dust or polluted air, so a lot of employees fell sick. So what kind of steps that the mining company is taking to protect the rights of their health? Rights of the employees. Sorry, to protect the health of the employees, right? And how you are giving benefits for their safety, or what kind of steps are you taking to give them safety? For example, if they are working in a mining company, if you are giving them enough jackets, enough suits, enough helmets, there is something where you are also concerned about their safety, not just health. So health and safety these two topics go hand in hand. So under this topic, we can think of health and safety violations, fatalities, the fatality rate, lost time injury frequency rate, or total recordable injury rate, or total recordable injury frequency rate, process safety events, etc., etc., etc. Policies, implementation targets, and we can also think of human rights, child labor issues, trade unions, forced labor, human trafficking, all these parameters. Whether the organization is taking stringent actions by implementing stringent policies to avoid any of these aspects, as in to not supporting child labor. If an organization, if I'm hiring child labor, as per India, under 14 years, if I'm hiring someone, then I'm not abiding by the rules, by the policies, by the requirements of the nation. So if I'm following that, for which, if I'm also making a stringent policy, and also doing it. You may ask me, Bala, you said that ESG is beyond compliance. If if as an organization, if I'm just following the laws, then how is it different from that? So as per Indian Constitution, if it is 14 years, as an organization, if you are not entertaining any individual below 18 years, where this is the phase that one can learn enough as a student, that is something which you can do beyond compliance. Right? So I mean, there are ways what you can do beyond compliance to get sustainability. Now, what else we can think of? Employee welfare, employee development. When it comes to employee welfare, one very best example which I can give you is the live example which I personally have obtained from my previous organization, which is S&P Global. A small question to each of you. How many days do you get when you become a father? For paternity, when it comes to paternity leave, usually how many days do we get as paid leave? Anybody? Sorry?
15 days.
15 days. Okay.
Not 50, 15.
15 euro.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. But I hardly see organizations which are giving a week time. Just forget about 50. Forget about 15.
Normally it is 15 days, 15 days.
It is
not at all practiced.
Yeah, it is 2 days. It
Yes.
is 5 days. It is 1 day even.
In government, it's 15 days. As per the government norms,
Government
it's
laws.
15 days.
Yes. There are organizations which are giving 5 days even. Only 5 days. But if you are giving more than that, that is doing beyond. I personally availed 2 months leave from the company I work for, S&P Global. Now they have increased it to 6 months. Can you believe it?
Wow.
So this is something which you are giving towards your employees. It's not just about getting work done. It's also about how you are valuing them. For example, it is your anniversary. For example, a small example I'm giving you. Marriage anniversary, let's say. If the organization is giving you a paid leave, if they say that, okay, go and enjoy your day with your family. And as a bonus, they are also giving you a lunch coupon worth, let's say, 2,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees. That is something which they are providing to you. That is beyond the compliance. So is it anywhere written that you have to provide anniversary leave? Is it compliance? No. That is something which organizations do. In fact, have started doing this since last few years, maybe from 2017, 2018, especially after Corona. Especially after Corona, probably from 2021 mid of 2021. Right? So these are some topics which we can think of employees' perspective, preferably internal stakeholders, as I was mentioning.
I just had a question.
Yes, please.
Is providing scholarship to the family also part of social governance?
Yes,
as
yes,
per
yes, of course.
ESG?
Of course.
Because it is not allowed under CSR. Any sponsorship for the employer, the family is not allowed. But is it allowed under ESG that they can give
Yes.
sponsorship to the children for education or maybe
Yes.
for sports, training and all of that? That's
Yes,
permissible.
yes, that is possible under social vertical, because when it comes to CSR, it has to be zero profit motto. That is something which I was about to comment on after explaining about stakeholder engagement.
If I may intervene,
Yes,
the
yes,
basic difference between ESG and CSR social, when I talk about S or social of ESG and CSR is, CSR is not for employees.
Right.
It's only for external stakeholders, it is not for employees. Whereas when it comes to S of ESG, the social of ESG, it is mainly, as you're saying, it's for the internal employees or the internal stakeholders.
Exactly.
So
that's the basic difference. That's
the basic
pretty much
difference.
right. Yeah,
Right.
you're pretty much right. And second difference which we can quote is about the profitability part. When it comes to CSR, whatever you are investing, be it 100 rupees, be it 100 crores, the profitability has to be zero. I mean, your objective is not about bringing profitability to the organization.
Right.
It is about creating some welfare for whatever XYZ topics that you are conducting or you are investing in. When it comes to ESG, it is not just about welfare. In fact, it is not at all about welfare. The overall ESG, if you look at, it is not at all about welfare. It is about welfare with profitability. So there is something called economics attached to ESG. We will discuss that. We will discuss that going further.
Okay.
Anyway, I mean, I already have made the point, but still, when I speak about that, probably we can go a little in detail. That's what I was trying to mention. ESG is beyond the complaints. So as people claim that CSR and ESG are same, or ESG is part of CSR, there are a lot of people, as I mentioned. So they unfortunately failed to understand the basic difference between ESG and CSR. And even today, one more myth, if you can think of, even today, there are a lot of people who think ESG as social activity, which is kind of, doing something better for environment or social vertical. This is kind of social initiation. The reason being, let me also tell you, because in ESG, we directly use SDGs for our understanding in order to say that, yes, we are trying to achieve the requirements of sustainability by 2030. We will learn in a little more in detail when we learn about SDGs. There is also one reason which has created a different perception in people's mind, saying that it is about doing something for the welfare perspective. Unfortunately, the fact is that it is clearly about, also clearly about the economics of it. That's the reason that's the point I was trying to explain when I was speaking of financial and non-financial parameters. Though we clearly speak of non-financial aspects, but it is not just about non-financial aspects. For example, if it is only about non-financial parameters, to limit your emissions, you can replace all your ACs, 3-star ACs with 5-star ACs. Isn't it a possibility? But whether it is viable for the organization, whether the organization can invest that much amount, if they would have invested that much amount by replacing all 1-star, 2-star, 3-star ACs with 5-star ACs, are they going to get return on investment? That is what ESG speaks about. Giving an idea to reduce air emissions is comparatively very, very, very easy. While giving an idea or giving a solution for an organization to reduce their emissions by considering the economics of it is the toughest job. That's where ESG comes into picture. Hope you got the basic difference. Why economics are also very important now. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, you can.
Perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
yeah.
So this is, I mean, as of now, whatever we have learned is little towards employees. Right? Now, let's speak about stakeholder engagement. When we speak about stakeholder engagement, here we almost speak about those stakeholders who are kind of external stakeholders. Those who are residing in local communities. When we say society and local community, when it comes to this particular subject, society as in anywhere. If my operations are in India, if I'm doing something in let's say America, still there is something called social responsibility. If for example, one of the live examples we can think of, we have sent enough groceries to Sri Lanka. Not really enough groceries, but then we have given we have extended our hand to support Sri Lankan people when they were in dire need. I believe each of us know. Each of us knows that Sri Lanka was into a lot of economical trouble. Inflation. There was very higher rate of inflation. So then India has extended its hand. So that is social service. When it comes to local community, if I'm having my organization in location A, and those people who are residing in that location A and are being affected directly or indirectly on a positive way or on a negative way, however it is, that is what local community is. if I'm getting affected by the company either in a positive way or negative way by their operations in the particular location. That's what local community is. So under stakeholder engagement, we speak of local community as one topic. We speak of other stakeholder requirements as another topic. Also, we speak about this one very topic called CSR, corporate social responsibility, where when it comes to India, those organizations which are made mandatory as per the CSR Act 2013, they will have to invest 2% of their net profit of the last 3 years weighted average. And there are also some legal requirements. You just cannot directly invest this money. It has to be done through some NGOs or some non-profitable organizations. There has to be CS sign. There have to be corporate impact assessments attached. They also have to provide some result that they have achieved something. There are some requirements under the Act for those organizations which are made mandatory. But otherwise, as an organization, you can think of investing in anything. Either you can invest money, you can deploy some resources that are relevant for a particular task to be done. You can also send your employees. That is also social responsibility, which will be part of social responsibility. If you're sending your employees for, let's say, teaching 10th class students, social responsibility. Here, companies actually spending an X amount of money indirectly because companies paying some salaries to employees. There is a contribution that the company is making. There is something called matching gift policy. For example, I believe each of us must have come across this kind of scenario where company says that you invest whatever you donate for a particular cause, we contribute 50% of whatever you have contributed. For example, all the employees have contributed, let's say 1 lakh rupees. Me as an organization, I'll be contributing 50% of it. If I say 50%, which is 50,000 rupees. So total 1.5 lakhs will be given to a particular task. Let's say flood victims, relief fund. If I say two times, then I'll be contributing 2 lakhs of what you have spent, what you have contributed. So this will be going to the cause. Here, the organization is not having any profitability objective, any profitability motto. If it does have, then this is not CSR. And here we try to understand about amount spent on philanthropy, how much the organization has spent, and what is the percentage of the amount spent with respect to their revenue, and where they have spent the money is also something which is important for us to understand. Where it is required, when we try to map the deeds that are done by the company in terms of SDGs. And one more thing, we often think that SDGs are relevant only for CSR, corporate social responsibility. And when I do something for CSR, then only we shall map this against CSR. That is another myth. Another myth is this. However, if I am doing something for the welfare of climate change, I have invested lakhs of rupees, crores of rupees in my R&D team, and I have developed a new technology, a new innovative technology, which can reduce my emissions. Then I can say that I'm contributing towards achieving the goal number 13, which is climate change of SDGs. It's not just about profitability every time. Sorry, CSR every time. If you are contributing for the welfare of anything out of these 16 goals, however, there are 17, but I prefer to say 16 because 17th is kind of implementing all 16. Kind of. We will understand more in detail. It is more towards what we say, collaborations. So these 16 goals you can think of. But otherwise, please do not say that when someone asks you about there how many goals are there, you shall not say 16. You have to say 17, of course, right? Now, for example, if you are doing something for the welfare of let's say you are working for the welfare of fish under sea, marine life. So you can say that you are contributing to one of the goals. I don't really remember the goal number, but life underwater. I think that is 5 or 6. I don't really remember, but life underwater. You can say that if you're really protecting water. Hello? Yeah. If you're really protecting water levels, you can think of water. If you're contributing for the welfare of women empowerment, one of the goals, there is one of the goals. I don't really remember what is the name, but you can say that. But ideally, these objectives are not really with the objective of social service. It can be with the objective of social service. It cannot be. It can also be the mode of profitability. Let's say if I'm developing a technology for my own car manufacturing company. Let's say I'm Hyundai, for example, or maybe Maruti, for example. If I'm developing a technology which can give you 30 kilometers of mileage for a liter petrol or diesel that you are using, that is the best innovation that I have done. It is essentially, it is not for the welfare of the society, as in your objective is not profitability. It is pretty much profitability objective. I can use this as a branding material, saying that we have developed a new technology which can give you 30 kilometers per liter mileage, which means that indirectly, directly, my usage of the energy usage is lesser. I'm as a user, I'm using lesser fuel, which means that there are lesser emissions. So when companies speaks about their emissions, they can say that if we sell 1,000 cars and these 1,000 cars, let's say they have traveled for 1 lakh kilometers each, for which they will require this many liters of diesel or petrol, with which we have reduced this many emissions. There's a branding aspect that the company can think of. In fact, they do speak of it. So this innovation is purely the profitability motto. Still, they can say that they have done something with respect to climate change, one of the sustainable development goals. That's that's what we speak of under CSR. In addition to this, there is something called lobbying, data privacy. When it comes to some industries like pharma, affordability and accessibility. We will understand going further. Affordability and accessibility. There are a lot of other parameters. Probably you can say we can think of minerals, conflict minerals, responsible sourcing, responsible marketing, responsible labeling, customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction. I'm sorry, employee satisfaction is again first part. Customer satisfaction is with respect to the second aspect. When it comes to the external stakeholders, customer satisfaction, net promoter score, all these aspects we can think of social vertical. And also supply chain. So under your supply chain, for example, if I'm having one of you is having me as a supplier, if I'm using child labor in my organization, then is it clear that you are not committing any crime as an organization? Can you clearly say that you are not doing any misguided aspects in your organization? If one of your suppliers is entertaining child labor, can you say that? No, because your entire value chain shall be in line with the objectives of your sustainability. So as an organization, I shall be abiding by your social requirements as well. I shall also do not discriminate between employees. I shall also give equal remuneration. When we say equal remuneration, it does not mean that every employee shall be paid 100 rupees each. No. I believe you all understand this. Hence, not spending a little more time on it. Whether you are discriminating, it also means that me as a supplier, I'm not discriminating our employees based on their caste, creed, religion, etc., etc., etc. I'm also providing learning and development, upskilling my employees as per the requirements of you as my organization where I'm acting as a supplier to you. So all these requirements are equally relevant, and beyond this requirement, there is one more very important aspect is responsible sourcing policy or responsible sourcing requirements, supplier audits for social verticals. So supplier audit is something which you can have one simple question for the overall supplier when if the company has done the audit or not. If we also can think of more questions or more indicators like if the suppliers are audited by the company for environmental requirements, for governance requirements, for social requirements. We can think of this type of questions. So this is about social vertical. When it comes to governance vertical, without which the other two verticals are clearly not possible to have for an organization. Because if me as the head of the family has not decided to do something, I mean, I'm speaking about those families where it is still, as of even today, it is the decision of the head of the family. As of now, it is the collaborative decision. I mean, there is more nuclearity, but then otherwise, for example, Indian government. If Indian government does not take a decision about, let's say, Swachh Bharat, it is not that we shall not also do it, but we cannot think of Swachh Bharat. If Indian government has not come up with this IPC, Indian Penal Code, then we cannot think of that. If Indian government says that if you kill a person, you will be sentenced to this. That is the kind of law that the Indian government is making. The very similar way, governance. Under this governance, there's something called corporate governance, where we have something called board of directors. The board of the company is kind of government of India. The board decides what has to be done under environmental vertical, what has to be done under social vertical. What are different policies that they have to implement? What are different requirements that each of the employees have to follow, or external stakeholders have to abide by, or organization have to respect those external stakeholders. Anything, everything has to come from that one topic called, that one specific body called board. So board decides what needs to be done, what shall not be done. And this board clearly has the every right to clearly designate different responsibilities to different people. Preferably, board does this job by creating some committees, and one of the directors will be heading that committee in general, and C-suite employees, CEO, CFO, etc., etc., etc. They'll be part of these committees in general, and further they'll be allocating certain tasks to their juniors. Their juniors will be passing on the tasks to and employee who will be actually performing the task. Ultimately, the board is that body which decides what needs to be done and what you shall not be doing. And they are the ones who decide or who approves all policies that are relevant for ESG space. Not just ESG, even if it is for finance vertical. If I believe each of us must have gone through something, this document called Code of Conduct or Business Code of Ethics, Business Ethics, whatever. This is the document which again comes from board of directors. They have to approve it. In general, CS, corporate secretary, some of the CAs, HR people who are good at policy making, and some lawyers who assist this particular board in designing and developing this code of conduct. It is not that me or you as a single individual can do it for a very big organization. We shall understand all legal requirements, compliance requirements as well. Beyond that, the ESG requirements and financial requirements to frame or to have a complete code of conduct. However, when we learn about ESG, most often, almost in every occasion, we get to see this code of conduct that is non-financial. They do not really speak about the financial parameters in general. However, they are indirectly leading towards the financial requirements. If I do not abide by one of the policies, then I'll be fined. Financial vertical. If I do not abide by the requirements of the company, then company might be fined. Fine. Company might be losing their license, financial loss. So ultimately, we can also think of the economics of it. That is what governance is all about. So from governance, we get to understand. We also conduct something called materiality assessment, from where we get to see what is materiality is all about, and what are the risks and opportunities that we can think of for the organization. However, all these parameters are from the non-financial perspective. By integrating finance to it, that integration of finance is something which we are not going to learn in this subject, because for that we all have to be financial professionals. So this particular stage or topic will be taken care by those professionals who are financial professionals, who are CS, CFAs, and also having ESG subject. There is something called ESG investing from CFA. So preferably those professionals will take over it. Those who are also having very sound knowledge of finance vertical. So now this is about ESG. Understood, guys, as of now?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes, yes.
So basics are clear.
Bala, there is one question from my
Yes,
end.
please. Yes, please.
So the governance part also includes, your CSR committee, your CSR policies.
Absolutely,
etc.
absolutely, everything.
So which means CSR can come even under social as well as in governance. So am I right in saying so?
See, governance decides what you shall be doing. For example, as Indian government, if I say, let's say Sukanya Samriddhi policy. So it is obviously part of government of India. But when we speak of this Sukanya Samriddhi policy, it is that particular vertical, right?
Yeah, correct.
So preferably we speak that topic under social vertical, because the ultimate objective of this particular policy, which is being made by governance vertical, is for the social welfare. That is part of social vertical. Otherwise, I mean, there is no need of having E and S as separate topics, because everything under E and S shall be part of is part of governance.
It is a part of governance, yes.
So
governance is actually, what I can understand is governance is basically about decision making.
Yes.
Through your policies, through your practices.
Not through our policies or through our practices. Rather, I would say, I would like to rephrase the statement, by making policies and by implementing practices.
By implementing practice. Correct.
Because this is the ultimate body. So this is the body which does everything that is required.
So even the environmental part comes here.
Everything has to be taken care by the government.
By the
Everything.
Right? Okay.
Now.
Yes, correct.
Now, let us understand if all the topics that we have covered so far are covered or not. Of course, in fact, we have covered beyond what is there on the screen. But of course, it is not really possible for us to keep everything that is relevant for each vertical, right? So we have opted the major topics. We have spoken about innovation. We have spoken about water waste, biodiversity, natural resources, climate strategy. We have spoken about society, local community, supply chain, diversity, inclusion, human capital management. Didn't we speak? Risk management, corporate governance, code of ethics, transparency. So transparency is something which we have not spoken, but that is pretty much clear. So transparency is something which has to come from governance saying that we are transparent with respect to everything that we are doing. Risk management is possible only if you actually do that materiality assessment. Materiality assessment is a kind of heart, we can say. Materiality assessment is a kind of heart for ESG topic, without which we cannot really conclude a lot of aspects, actually. Right? We will understand that going further. So as of now, we have understood that what is ESG, right? Now, let us see, when did it start? As Avinash said, it started somewhere in 1992 or 1997. However, it started about a couple of centuries before. But the word ESG was brought into picture in 1997. But before a couple of centuries, this topic was pretty much there in the society. However, then we were speaking of different topics individually. Climate change as a separate topic, emission as a separate topic, employee work hours as a separate topic, employee workforce as a separate topic, human as a separate topic. We have evidences, right? We have history, right? I believe each of us understands it. There are some articles which are floating in some social media platforms where one of the one of the newspapers had published back then in 1800s year that the temperature is rising. We need to think of it in 1800s. So it was already there. It's not a new subject. However, we have used this term called ESG after 1980s, environment social governance. And in 1997, when GRI has come up with the framework for the first time ever, which gave a hope to the entire business fraternity to think or to work on ESG parameters. Since then, as Avinash rightly said, it has been evolving like anything. In the last 3 years, it has evolved like anything else. The changes that we have seen are very, very, very hard, not just from Indian requirement, but also from the global aspects. Even in India, if you really look at the amendments or maybe the announcements from SEBI, they are going very hard. They're going very hard with respect to the time frame that we have been going through about integrating ESG. However, unfortunately, though ESG is not compliance, it is becoming compliance, kind of. Saying that you shall follow these parameters, you shall follow BRSR framework, you shall follow EU taxonomy, you shall follow UK DEFRA, you shall follow AASB, something, something, something. Not just in India, but also in other nations. To give you an example, in India, Indian government has clearly said that from this year onwards, all those 1,000 companies which are first 1,000 companies based on market capitalization from BSE will have to publish their sustainability reports. There's no other choice. It is made mandatory. It is kind of compliance. Unfortunately, it is happening. Ideally, it is not compliance, but it's happening. It is becoming compliance. ESG also becoming compliance. Because one of the reasons is that in 2021, COP26 in November, I think, Mr. Modi has pledged that India will become carbon neutral by 2070. So in order to achieve that, as of now, whatever we are having today are not sufficient. These hard steps are very required. Hence, India requires thousands, in fact, lakhs of ESG professionals. There is another requirement or opportunity that each of us has. Not just thousands, but lakhs of ESG professionals are required in India, just for Indian requirements. Just forget about global requirements, just for Indian requirements. Today, we are just only looking at the number called 1,000. But if you really look at the 1,000 is close to a lakh companies, because 1,000 will become 4,000 companies, which are, in India, under BSE, we have close to 3,700 companies, which are listed. Assuming that there will be 4,000 companies by 2025, maybe 2027. When SEBI clearly says that your entire value chain also shall be under ESG requirements, then don't you think that at an average, these 4,000 companies will be having about 20-25 companies each? Different companies, of course, which is going to be about 80,000 to 1 lakh companies, which are under the need of ESG requirements based on SEBI, though SEBI directly does not say it or will not say it. They simply say that all listed entities are required to be in line with the ESG requirements of SEBI in your entire value chain operations. Very simple. If it is value chain, it is not just me. There are hundreds of vendors for every organization. Though one vendor can be part of one vendor can be the vendor of another big organization as well. Hence, let's assume at an average 20 vendors for every organization. Still, there are 80,000 companies in total, plus these 4,000 companies. At least 84,000 companies, which we'll be having by 2025 or maybe 2027, when SEBI clearly says that each company will have to abide by all the requirements in the entire value chain. Do you now understand why India is lacking ESG professionals. Do you now understand why India is needing ESG professionals? And do you now understand what kind of wealth we can create in ESG and what kind of opportunities we can take in ESG? It is not a small thing. However, we need to understand what best we can do. We need to really excel with respect to our current skill set, what best I can bring for an organization to grow. As an individual, if I can let an organization that, okay, I'll let you know how to become one of the ESG compliant or ESG practitioner in your segment or in your what we say sector, how you can be on top of your competitors, then you are that person who is looked by thousands of organizations. We are trying to make you that in this 26 classes or maybe 3.5 months time. And we sincerely request each of you to please spend some time with the subject going further. If you don't practice, you don't learn. You don't learn, then obviously you will be the one you were. Very simple. I'm being hard, but it is a bitter fact from the previous batches that I have come across. Those who have not given time to this course module, to this ESG today, are the sufferers tomorrow. Right? Now, going further, I mean, this presentation will be shared with you. So just go through the topics. And these are not just the topics that have emerged in the time, but also there are a couple of more things which we have not updated in the presentation, and there are also a lot of ESG evolution is happening in recent times. If you want me to speak about the evolution in recent time, is about ISSB, IFRC's foundation, IFRC's foundations, IARC, right? And then there is a panda symbol logo, World WWE, I think. There is some framework which is coming in. World Economic Forum is something which is coming in, right? That panda organization, I just forgot the name. You can check for that. These are some new integrations. These bodies are also trying to come up with their own set of standards of frameworks to help organizations achieve ESG objectives, right? As of now, we have understood what is ESG. Then let's understand why ESG is required. It is pretty much simple. We kind of understood it already. Let's just reiterate. From the point of view of planet, if every organization is really doing their own bit that is required for the environment protection, don't you think that we can limit global warming and we can conserve a lot of forests? We also can work on biodiversity requirements. Don't you think there will be a lot of community care if temperatures are not rising? If temperatures are limited to 30 degrees, maybe 35 degrees, don't you think we do not require a lot of ACs? Don't you think we do not require a lot of energy usage? There are a lot of things interlinked. It is a complete chain. If we can reduce, even if we can limit our temperature rise to 35 degrees, then definitely we will be able to limit our energy usage we can reduce our energy usage very drastically. Very drastically. However, we need to achieve this. It is not possible from the point of view of business, just business. Each of us has to join our hands. However, if you want to achieve this from business point of view, then that is ESG, as we discussed, as we understood. October, November, December, January, March. Right, guys? Now, from the point of view of company, as we understood that when you really implement all these factors, you as an organization can let the public know that you are someone who is contributing towards the welfare of society as well, the environment, which means that there is brand value. To give you one practical example, there was a study in US where this particular body tried to understand if the buying pattern of the buyers of the public, whether they would love to buy sustainable products. That was the objective. Then, to their surprise, 55% plus people have said that they are willing to buy sustainability products even if they are at a relatively higher price, provided they have that brand value of being supplied the sustainability products from last few months, years, decades, whatever. And also, if the product is being branded, branded and audited by a particular third-party auditor, which clearly, without any biasness, is providing the rating to the product, saying that this product is clearly the sustainable product. Then these 55% people are really willing to buy these products. And there are about 37% people who said that they are willing to buy sustainability products, provided the companies which are claiming that they are sustainable have to prove that they are sustainable. And this is the survey which was done in 2020 or 21. I don't really remember, in US. You can Google it in your respective browsers. Probably you can find this information. So if you can have this tag of sustainability, then it definitely increases your brand value, don't you think? It is not just that, it also helps you sustain in the longer run. Improved productivity, attract high investment, of course, cost reduction by integrating green practices. That is already we discussed, right? Now, when we speak about investors, ideally we can think of stakeholders here, but most often, in majority of the cases, we think of investors only when we speak about ESG. We often forget about other stakeholders who are also interested in understanding about the ESG performance of the organization. For example, I am someone who is wanting to work for an organization, but I am someone who is wanting to work for that organization which is good at implementing ESG practices. Then I will study that organization and I'll see if the organization is really doing their bit for ESG or not. Then I'll join that organization, if the organization also gives me an opportunity. Though it is a very vague example, but this is the practical possibility. What if I want to associate with the organization for buying products or for availing services? It's not just about investment, right? However, investment is something which is often discussed by lots of people. So when it comes to investors, they try to minimize their risk by assessing and analyzing the non-financial parameters in line with financial parameters. This gives them long-term sustainability, better return on investment as well. So by doing this analysis, by doing this assessment and research, I will come to know which is that organization which is better performing organization in ESG space. So by finding that organization, I will decide whether to invest or to associate with that organization based on my own requirements. For example, if there are 10 organizations which are on the top place, so for you, you might prefer organization number 3, which has ranked at which is the top 3rd organization. But I might prefer to invest in organization 9 because my respective objectives my objectives might be different from your objectives. So when it comes to ESG investment, the same subject will work in different ways for different investors, different investment groups. Right, guys? So this is something which I try to correlate between these two topics, but otherwise, to be honest with you, there is no subject called sustainability with respect to ESG, since ESG is part of sustainability. However, I tried to give you this understanding. If you need to achieve the right side part, wherein if you want to become sustainable, if you achieve the sustainability to preserve today's resources for our future generations, by not compromising on the ability by our future generations to use these resources for their needs. If this is to be achieved from business, then that is sustainability. I think my screen is visible to you. This is what sustainability is. So if you want to achieve sustainability from business, then this is what we can achieve. Right, guys? Let us see what is ESG growth. This is something which we have brought this graph from different institutions. So I clearly have mentioned this note here. Please note that the graph shown here is considered from different publicly available sources. So we shall not use this for the public or professional use. It is just for our understanding. It's just for our understanding, right? So in 2020 to 2020 and 2022 to 2035, if you really look at, it was just 4 or 5 trillion assets under management. In 2020, it is about 45. In 2035, it is going to be 170 trillion USD, which are assets under management. This assets under management AUM describes the total wealth of the industry. This is more specific towards the financial aspects, just to understand in a layman language, total wealth of the industry, which is ESG industry's wealth that we can think or that we can expect by 2035. Just imagine 170 trillion USD, and it was just about 45 trillion USD in 2020. It is close to 4 times, maybe 3.5 times, which we are going to witness in just next 15 years. This is not my forecast. This is from very big financial institutions, from where I have brought it.
Well, this is the data from the entire world, I guess, right?
Yes, of course.
So
Not
for
from
the India, is the growth at the similar levels, or is
it is in the similar levels only, but the numbers are definitely definitely would vary. When it comes to ESG fund in India, it has raised from about 7,000 crores. 7,000 crores to 15,000 crores in the last 3 years.
Okay.
I don't really remember from what amount it has come to 15,000 crores, but it was 5,000 to 7,000 crores about 3 years before.
Okay.
2 years before. So in 2021 only. But today it is more than 15,000 crores in India only, which is under ESG fund only in India. That too from few organizations. S Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC, not HDFC, I think Kotak Bank. There are very few organizations.
Yes.
All these organizations are not really focused in it as of today. Still, we are having 15,000 crores without even integrating ESG in India. Just imagine what we are going to have in near future, in next 3 to 5 years time.
Correct. Yes.
There is tremendous opportunity. Okay. Now coming to these certifications, as I have been telling you all that these certifications are not really required in every occasion unless you would want to portray yourself as a GRS certified professional or as a CSR certified professional. Otherwise, as of today, I do not carry any certification. It is just the learning that I have been carrying since last 10 and a half years, or from total 11 and a half years, my total experience, if I have to calculate. But otherwise, it is only required if you'd want to work for specific body called CDP. CDP has chapters in different nations. We have one chapter in India. If you really would want to work for CDP, still CDP certification is not really required for some roles. Still, it is not really required, even if you would want to work for CDP. I believe you can understand what I'm trying to say. Even if someone of you would want to work for CDP certification is not really required for you to work for CDP, as long as you prove that you have enough subject that is relevant and required for CDP institution to work with you or to get the work done from you. Hope you got my point. However, there are some players in the market who would want those professionals who are certified by GRI only. Then, yes, without GRI certification, you cannot do it. There are some players in the market, but they are very few. There are very few. And as of now, as I told you, I do not carry any certificate as of today, except my BE and then MBA. Bachelor of Engineering from Andhra University, MBA from EMP Business School, New Delhi. That's it. Right? So this is about.
Bala, I have a question here.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
I asked you during the one-to-one call also.
Yes, yes.
So in the mushrooming of these different standards and frameworks, you mentioned about 8 to 10 in the previous slide.
Okay.
And of course, there are newest addition. You mentioned about WWF, I guess, the Panda thing, and also the World Economic Forum, etc. So every now and then a new standard or parameter is being introduced also.
Right.
And previously there are also standards also.
True,
so even if we want to work in this ESG sector, as a professional, we should know the nuances of each of the standards.
Absolutely right.
For example,
Agreed.
GRI, UNGC,
Agreed.
everything.
Right.
But as
Agreed.
a professional, we cannot assimilate this knowledge. Beyond a point, I was also, undergoing a kind of a business storytelling webinar wherein they mentioned that at a best, an individual can only have, three concepts can be readily, understood. So less than 3 is not a good number to have, and beyond 3, one cannot assimilate it in terms of their understanding. So what are the best 3 standards which we as a ESG professional should go for in terms of fully understanding the parameters? One is GRI, I can understand it clearly, but what are the 2 best others available?
So for that,
or in your knowledge or in your experience, you can suggest that we shall have that clear understanding of all these parameters and how to do that. Because
so
it's not possible at times.
So Gaganji, I request you to please be patient for 1, 2, 3, 4 more sessions. After that, please, maybe five more sessions. Once we are done with these 5 more sessions, excluding today's, of course. Of course, excluding today's. Then please come up with the same question. Then whatever the answer that I'll be giving you, as per my own experience, will be of some help to you, not just to you, but everyone else. Because then we will understand what is GRA, what is the objective of it, what is CDP, what is the objective of it, what is TCFD, what is IR, what is SASB, what is GG protocol, what is BRSR. We will understand that. What is UNGC, what are principles, what are standards, what are frameworks.
Yeah, you mentioned last time also that parameters have different objectives. That I clearly understand.
Exactly.
But
so once
I am telling
that,
as a kind of clarity and clarity of a professional.
You just come up with the same question after understanding these topics. Once we finish understanding UNGC, UNPRI, UNSDG, GRI, SASB, CDP, IR, TCFD, SBTI, GG protocol, and BRSR. Once we finish this, then please raise the same question. We will discuss. We will spend some time in this. Then you will clearly understand what I'm trying to explain. Even if I say now, let's say Gaganji, you shall go with the GRI and you shall go with TCFD. That's it. Or maybe the third one is, let's say, CDP. Then it doesn't make any sense to neither to you nor other participants.
Correct.
So we will discuss them. We will discuss them. In which way these topics are covered in our course module, without which we cannot actually excel. In ESG, if you want to be a consultant or a manager, without this understanding, you cannot be.
You
cannot be. So we will learn it. We will learn it. Further questions? We still have close to 15-20 minutes. Sorry, 10-15 minutes.
There's no way you can understand.
Hi, Balu.
Yes, Bhushanji.
Since any which is you mentioned about which certification is supposed to go and all anything, any which is I got an answer for that. As of today, from this session, what I understood from these very basics. See, I have worked for almost 18 years in different organizations, whereas I have clearly understood that most of the organizations for last 2 decades or 3 decades have been following these, whatever the entities you mentioned under S and under G governance.
are there already, are already there and well established.
Okay.
Now, it is exactly for their own existence in the market. Not
Right,
resist-
right.
But only one thing today, what we have learned, or I have learned, is that adding point is more stress on the E part, which is environmental part.
Right.
And I see this one of your slides also, most of the certifications are focusing more on the stressing on the environmental part.
Right. Right.
Right. So what I understood is that going forward, we will be focusing more on environmental part, since governance part and social entity is already there, already existed.
Okay.
Is it correct? Am I on the same line?
Okay. So Bhushanji, if you think that, then probably I can differ with you. I mean, I would want to differ with you, since the reason being, as I told you, environment is something which is visible, kind of tangible.
Okay.
When it comes to social governance, they are intangible. So whatever we have been having, whatever the established systems and procedures that we have had, in fact, we have as of today, are in line with the compliance. Again, I'm saying.
Okay.
For example, if I do not want to entertain child labor, then for that I already have an established system. That okay, below 14 years of age, when it comes to India, we shall not employ someone, but I can hire someone who is 17 years of age. But as an organization, if I prefer to choose to hire only those people who are beyond 21 years of age,
Right.
so I am trying to not hire those individuals so that they can leverage the time for learning. I'm just giving a very simple example that I can think of at this point in time. So that is not there in the existing scenario, right?
No,
That is something which we have to.
labor laws.
Laborers are clearly saying,
yeah,
if you are older than 40 years, you can be hired.
Okay.
But I am making a policy saying that I will not hire someone who is below 21 years of age. So if every organization does this, then every individual has to study and learn till 21 years of age.
Okay.
You get my point?
Right.
This is not there as per the compliance. I mean, not hiring someone under 14 years of age is something which we have.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we do not have. That is not the compliance, right? That is something which we need to do from ESG perspective. And moreover, if you really think that, okay, we need to achieve environment as a primary object, let's assume this. Can we do this without humans, without employees?
No, can't.
Then can you really, I mean, I'm not just pointing you directly, Bhushanji, but of course for everyone else, can we really say that we can achieve any objective irrespective of without having our human force, I mean human resources, employees?
Of course we can't. Yeah.
If we do not give enough respect, if we do not take care of their lives, do you think in going scenario we will be able to achieve the environmental objectives?
No.
So that's the reason why I was mentioning environment is something which is visible, that is tangible. When it comes to social and governance, they are intangible.
Okay.
And if there are, even today, there are a lot of employees who are not even giving, I mean, who are not ready to work for the organization if the organization is not really respecting them. They are resigning them. They're resigning from the organization. They're finding something else. There was time where even if you are tortured literally, still you are sticking to your job. But today, our organization, I mean, employees are not really that are not that way. They are clear with respect to what they want. They want leisure, they want life, they want social life. For some, the objective is to spend time with family. They do not want to spend extra time with the office.
Okay.
So the larger organizations as of now are actually doing this part implemented. Recently, I have come across one company, I forgot the name. At 7 o'clock sharp, the system automatically locks. You cannot work on the system, even if you would want to do. From 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. system is, I mean, you can work on the system. Before 10 p.m. you cannot log in. After 7 p.m. you cannot work. There is a company, I just forgot the name.
I also remember that people used to say that back in Infosys, Narayan Murthy also used to say that after 9 o'clock all the company's lights should be off. No one should be in office. Go home.
That is about
Yes,
that is actually happening now. So this is not the compliance, right? This is not something which is already there in the existence of ESG, sorry, governance vertical, right? Or in our social vertical. So this is the requirement. So we need to align our resources in line with the objectives, our current happenings. So as I mentioned, employees are also one of our stakeholders as business. We shall not ignore them because they are one of the key stakeholders. They are equally important as investors, as important as your customers. So if we clearly do not want to focus on social, we are also ignoring our customers, isn't it?
Yeah.
So ignoring customers is not a choice that we have.
Correct.
So always think that these three topics are equally important. However, E and S are completely reliable or completely are dependent on G. But otherwise, we cannot say, I mean, we can in one way say that, okay, there is one thing called G, but otherwise, if you look at the objective of each aspect, then there are three verticals, E, S, and G. Every vertical on its own is very equally important. You cannot ignore any vertical for any reason. Ideally, it was a scenario that climate is the focused area. Hence, there was no ESG. There was only climate change. But today we are having ESG because the focus is not just climate change, but also everything that is relevant for a business. And as we have been learning, ESG is always about bringing sustainability from business perspective. Is always. And again, it is not about just bringing social welfare, but also about bringing that so-called profitability, return on investment. It is not charity. Right? Others?
Yeah, so going forward, it would be interesting to know now that we are saying that ESG, all of them have equal weightage, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, so going forward, it would be interesting to know how much company is actually spending on E, S, and G individually.
Yeah.
How they do the accounting for each of
that
them.
is only possible if you start doing some research. That is something which you can do, provided you practice what we are going to learn in phase 2. In phase 2, we are actually trying to learn how to compare between two different organizations and how it is important for an organization if you would want to work as a, let's say, consultant. Why it is important for you, what you shall learn, what you shall look at. If you would want to work as an ESG manager or as a sustainability officer, what you shall be knowing. If you want to work from this perspective, what you shall be knowing. All these parameters are taught or we will be learning in phase 2 in a very detailed way.
Right, because what we're talking right now for social is all employee centric, which is like a C2C to the company, right?
C2C as in customer to customer?
Sorry, no. Cost to the company. When we say that,
C2C, okay.
So everything is, and it is all a retention policy kind of that how much perks and benefits, and it is directly going to benefit the company at the end of the day. Right, and you can directly book it in your expenses for the employees through which you are directly going to be benefited. Whereas when you do it for the environment, it is not only for your own employees, but the community at large gets benefit out of it.
So for example, the example that I have given you, if being a parent, being a father, if I'm given 6 months paternity leave, or maybe 2 months paternity leave, so organization is actually spending on me for my welfare. So
correct.
Hello.
Yes, employees spending on your welfare. So see, this is very debatable. As I said, going forward, it will be interesting to learn more about it. I would not comment as of now.
Yeah, definitely.
So
we will see. Definitely.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely, we will see.
So Bala, I have a comment to make here.
Yes, please, Gaganji.
So in my view, what I understood is all these components, E, S, and G, all are equally important. Right. And I can recall from framework of UNGC, because in that organization I worked a bit actually.
Okay.
United Nations Global Compact.
Yes.
The Indian unit of it I worked for some time. And
Okay.
there we talked about 10 principles, UNGC
Of
10
course,
principles.
4, 3, and 3.
Which based on business rights, human rights, environment, labor, and anti-corruption.
Yes,
Which
absolutely.
naturally integrates all these environmental, social, and governance factors.
True, true.
I think all the good frameworks that exist beautifully integrates all these 3 elements. I'm not
Right.
sure of all the parameters,
However,
but I can recall of UNGC.
Yeah, definitely. Gaganji, you are absolutely right. But whatever we have in UNGC are just a starting point for us to work in ESG space.
Yes, yes.
To be honest, as per my learning, as per my experience since last 4 years, I've been doing research. I've been trying to understand the performance of different companies, how they are different from each other. In the last 4 years, I've been doing this. I mean, I have done this, of course.
Yes, yes.
So these 10 principles are definitely the starting point. It's kind of
starting point. Yes.
Kind of the switching on the light. But how long it is glowing is something different. That is something which we need to focus on.
Correct.
These definitely help any organization. If you are someone who is a layman, then definitely helps you to start off with ESG requirements. But you cannot say that you actually have started ESG. That is something you cannot say.
Yeah, because that
started something in ESG.
I cited as an example because I worked there. So
yeah, absolutely.
But about other frameworks, I am not very aware of.
UNGC is something which we are going to learn as well.
Yes,
we are going to learn as well.
But going forward, we will learn in this course, I believe.
Definitely.
Yes.
So UNGC is definitely that one straight principle which helps almost any organization across the globe. You take any organization, you can directly integrate those principles, but they are not sufficient. That's what my point is.
They are not.
Without thinking of anything else, even if you don't know anything about ESG, blindly you can start integrating those 10 principles.
Correct.
You can start doing something from the point of view of ESG. Later on, you can work more.
It's very easy also as a layman one.
It looks easy, Gaganji. To be honest with you, it looks easy, but it is not that easy. To be honest with you, when you actually start integrating, it looks very simple. 1 + 1 is 2. Till the time you don't know what is 1 and what is 2, you don't know. You cannot really say that 1 + 1 is 2.
When you go into technicalities, it becomes quite complex.
It becomes very hard. See, sir, simply saying that, okay, now integrating human rights policy, very, very simple, sir. It is just that we shall not hire someone who is under 14 years of age, which is also part of, human rights and child labor are 2 different aspects, but I'm just clubbing these 2 in this example. Very simple.
True.
But is it really possible for the organization and the entire value chain to do this?
No.
How much time they have to spend in preparing the policy? What kind of vigilance that they have to do, that they have to have? If there is any grievance, how they shall be tackling that? If there is any violation, how they shall be tackling that? How much fines they have to pay? There are a lot of things.
And how to convince the other supply chain actors also.
Yeah, there are a lot of things.
That is even complex.
There are a lot of things. When it comes to supply chain, you have to do frequent audits in order to be sure that, okay, your supplier is actually abiding by your requirements. And you also have to provide that reports. If you would want to become a signatory to UNGC, you need to provide a detailed report as per the requirements of UNGC. It's not a small thing, but it is just simple 10 principles. These simple 10 principles, which one can easily think of when it comes to ESG space. Anything else? Any further questions, comments?
One last question.
Yes, Bhushanji.
So far, for example, if you ask me, there is an ISO, right?
Okay.
201, something like that. There is a structured, well-defined guidelines, there, company and other stuff. But when it comes to ESG, I still trying to understand that specific.
Okay, I got your point, sir. Okay, let me speak on it. So when we speak of ISO, is it for business or is it for a specific objective?
It's purely for business.
Is it for the entire business or specific objective? If you let's say ISO 14001 2015, it is for business, of course.
Yeah,
but its object is specific.
Environmental, yes.
If it is 45,000, it is more towards health and safety. So
I believe 26,000 is for CSR.
Right. So there are specific objectives, and hence they have set guidelines. Okay, if you are towards this particular topic, let's say environmental health and safety, then this is something you need to follow. When it comes to business, your business needs are different, your goals are different. Your stakeholders' needs are different, their goals are different. You as a business can sustain only if You fulfill your needs by fulfilling your objectives, by not ignoring your stakeholders' needs as well their objectives. And these are completely different from each organization.
Okay.
You got the point, sir?
Specific sectors.
These are not specific sectors. No two organizations across globe will be having same objectives. No two organizations. No two organizations. You take any two organizations. Hence, it is not really possible to have set standards. Okay, if you are this, you have to do this only. However, we can think of specific objectives. Again, like we can say when it comes to ESG, okay, what is ISO? It is about quality. Right, sir?
Yep.
ISO certifications are for quality. The very similar way when it comes to ESG integration, we can think of frameworks like SASB, GRI for specific objectives. If my objective is to understand the financial performance of the non-financial activities, I'll go for SASB. Let's assume it is ISO 14001 is SASB. You understand what I'm trying to explain? So if you have a specific objective in your business, for that we can have a specific framework or standard. As of now, we have few, but in the near future, we might have more. If my objective is only to understand the non-financial parameters of non-financial activities of climate change only, then I forget everything else. I directly go with TCFD. That is something that one specific topic where you can think of ISO 45001, something like that. For a specific topic, yes, we can have, but ESG is not is an industry. For industry, we cannot have, right?
True.
Hope you got my point. Not just you, but other team members.
Got it.
Avi, you have any further comments on it? I don't know if he's there. Okay. Anyways, any further questions, concerns? Anything, any comments? I hope I have given you reasonable explanation as of now.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Questions, comments? Otherwise, we can wrap it up for today. And we will be meeting on Wednesday, 8:30 again, 8:30 p.m. Shall we?
It's clear, sir.
Yes, yes, it is clear.
Okay, perfect then. Thank you all. Good night. Thank you so much for very beautiful audience for us. And it is pleasure working with you all.
Thank you. Just one
Thank you,
more
sir.
thing.
Yes, sir.
Do we have some reading material as well for the next class, or will you be sharing some study material as well?
Yeah, I'll be giving you access to the presentations. I mean, this is the PDFs only. So there is something which you can go through.
That's it. No other study material.
No, for now, no. We will be giving you exercise maybe from third session. I think from third session we'll be giving some assignments. Small assignments, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you all. Thank you, Balaji.
Bye.
Thank you, Bala.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye all.